What if I told you that the thing holding you back isn't the world around you, but the invisible strings inside you, the fears, the doubts, the quiet desperation to be liked, understood, and accepted? You may think you're free, but the truth is, most people live as puppets, pulled by approval, swayed by rejection, destroyed by judgment. One harsh word from someone else can ruin their entire day. One moment of being ignored, and their confidence collapses. And Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived." What he meant is that most people cannot master themselves. They are so enslaved to their emotions, their need for comfort, their longing for validation, that they can be bent, broken, and manipulated at will. But you are here, watching this, which means you feel it. You sense that you've been giving too much power away. That somewhere inside, there is something harder, sharper, more unshakable, waiting to be born. This is not about arrogance. This is not about pretending to be confident. This is about discovering the kind of inner strength that cannot be bought, seduced, or destroyed. The kind of strength Machiavelli called virtue, a power that makes you untouchable. Think of the last time you felt betrayed, maybe by a friend, a partner, even a colleague. That sharp sting in your chest, that helpless rage. Most people stay trapped in that pain. They replay the story in their heads, feeding it until it consumes them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Betrayal will happen again. Disappointment will return. People will lie, cheat, and turn away. Machiavelli never sugarcoated this. He said openly, expect treachery, expect deception, expect the cruelty of others. The question is not, how do I avoid it? The real question is, will I let it touch me? There is a kind of power in being immune. Imagine this, someone insults you, and instead of flinching, you look them in the eye, calm, unmoved, as if their words bounced off steel. That is the essence of becoming untouchable. But how do you get there? It begins with solitude. Machiavelli himself, after being exiled from Florence, stripped of status, forced into isolation, found his strength not in company, but in being alone. He wrote letters to ancient thinkers, Plato, Tacitus, Cicero, and in their words, he sharpened his mind into a weapon. Solitude is not loneliness, it is the forge of power. Nietzsche called it becoming a self-contained star. Plato hinted at it in the Republic, when he described the philosopher who leaves the cave of illusions to see truth directly. And Bonhoeffer, facing the crushing reality of prison and execution under the Nazis, wrote that true freedom is not given. It is claimed inwardly, in silence, even in chains. Most people run from solitude. They drown themselves in noise, in scrolling, in company, in shallow pleasures, anything to avoid facing themselves. But until you can stand alone, you will always be weak. Another step, learning to see the world without illusions. Machiavelli urged rulers to look at people as they are, not as they should be. That means stripping away the comforting stories. People are not always kind. They are not always loyal. And you, yes you, are not always noble. There is ambition in you, envy, anger, lust. Pretending otherwise makes you fragile. But when you confront it, when you accept the darker parts of yourself, you become whole. This is what Nietzsche meant by the will to power. Not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. The courage to say, yes, I contain both light and shadow. I will not hide from it. When you stop hiding, you stop fearing. And when you stop fearing, you become dangerous. Not because you harm, but because you cannot be harmed. Let me tell you a story. A prisoner in a Soviet labor camp was beaten daily. Every day they tried to break him with humiliation, exhaustion, and fear. But one day, his guard insulted him, and he laughed. A quiet, steady laugh. The guard froze. Because in that moment, the prisoner showed something terrifying. His spirit was not theirs to crush. His body could be enslaved, but his mind was free. That's the essence of what Machiavelli and every great thinker of power knew. True strength is internal. When no one else can reach into you, No one else can rule you. But here's the paradox. To become untouchable, you must first be touched. You must suffer. You must taste betrayal, rejection, loss, and humiliation. These are the fires that burn away illusions. Without them, you will never know what you are made of. Machiavelli's life was humiliation. He was dismissed from power, tortured, and discarded. Yet from those ashes, he wrote The Prince, one of the most enduring works of political philosophy in history. Nietzsche battled illness, madness, and exile, yet his writings outlived his enemies. Bonhoeffer walked willingly to execution because his inner freedom was already complete. What about you? Are you willing to be tested? Are you willing to suffer and still not bow? Most people are trapped in the game of appearances. They want to seem strong, seem confident, seem successful. But that's not power, it's performance. And a performance can be shattered with one heckle from the audience. Real power is silent. It doesn't need to be announced. It is the man who walks into a room and doesn't need attention, because his presence already shifts the air. It is the woman who does not chase love, because she is already whole within herself. You can't fake this. People sense it. And once you embody it, the world bends differently around you. But let me give you one final warning, the kind Machiavelli himself would whisper in your ear. When you find this power, others will fear you. Some will envy you. Many will try to pull you back into the cage because your freedom will expose their chains. Do not let them. Do not explain yourself endlessly. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. The world has enough puppets. What it lacks are those rare, dangerous few who have cut their strings. So ask yourself now honestly, what still controls me? Whose opinion do I secretly serve? What fear makes me kneel? And then imagine, what would I become if I no longer cared? If nothing and nobody could touch me? That, Machiavelli would say, is where true power begins. Not in crowns, not in wealth, not in armies, but in the soul of one human being, untouchable, unbroken, unafraid. The choice is yours, because once you taste this power, you'll never be the same again.